welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new, hello, I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to go over or attempt to do a tutorial on the loop junk journal method that I came up with. This method requires a spine reinforcer. I will be offering these on my Etsy shop as soon as I put it up. I'll keep you posted on my Facebook if you sign up, or if you comment down below. I will let you guys know as soon as my Etsy shop is up. And I'll be offering three sizes: the 1 inch, 1 1/4, and 1 1/2. So you guys can have different kinds of thicknesses of books. Anyways, to proceed, I measure the height of the book, and then I subtract 1/4 of an inch on both sides so that I can use it without showing on the ends, or like not running all the way to the ends. I mean, you could show it at the ends. It might look nice, but the way I have it, I don't like to show it all the way to the end. So I measure, and then I deduct the quarter, and then I cut it off. And this wood is really easy to cut. It's a quarter inch thick plywood. It's really sturdy, but then at the same time it's really easy to cut. You just have to run it over and over with your blade. You don't have to put so much pressure into it, which is something that I like. But you just have to keep at it, cutting and cutting. I mean, you could put pressure on it, and it'll be a lot quicker. But if you don't have like strong hands, like man hands or something, like I feel like sometimes I do, then you can just gently cut it with your knife. Now it's time to decide where I want my window. How high do I want it from the table up, from bottom up, I guess, and then from the top down. So I decided on 1 inch up and 1 inch down. That means on my wood it measures 3/4 up and 3/4 down, keeping in mind that I have 1/4 on the book on up and on the down. On the wood, I decided the window is going to be 1/2 inch wide, so that means I have 1/2 inch in the middle, and then on both sides I have 1/4 on one side and 1/4 on the other. That way it leaves my window in the middle at 1/2 inch. After I did all my measurements, all I got to do is cut it. And the good thing about this wood is that I can just use my ruler once to make that indentation or that little groove of cutting mark. And from that point on, I just go over on the same mark. I don't have to hold my ruler there anymore. So I just go over and over and over till I feel it's going to go over. But since I'm pressing really hard, I keep on checking the back because I don't want to like overcut my mat because I'm doing it super hard, so I can not take up much of this video time because I feel like it's gonna be super long. I am very new to YouTube or tutorials, and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to get this method out there. I know you guys will grab it and run with it in a sense, because I know you guys, I can envision you guys using this for many different types of junk journaling, and I can't wait to see what you guys have in mind for that. So all you gotta do is just cut over and over, and just be careful. I go crazy here on this knife because I'm just like that. But it tends to run sometimes, or if you do it too hard, it can skip on you. I have gotten used to it, but please be careful when you're doing this. So what I do at the ends, because it's kind of tricky, I just laid my blade kind of on it, and I tap it, tap 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 tap. I'm sorry for all that shaking. The camera was on my desk, and so every time I tap, it was doing this, and I didn't realize it till I'm voice recording it over, post edit or post editing now, and it's like embarrassing. So I'm really sorry for that. I'm gonna try and get better as I do more videos for you guys, but for now we'll shake it together. Anyway, so I do that on my four corners, and it helps to kind of stop where I want it to stop. And if I do the short sides first, then you'll know when to stop. Once you're done with this step, the next step is to glue it onto your cover. I have this silicone. It's a cold silicone. It's like one of those like hot glue silicone guns. But I my husband brought it over for me from over the border, and I don't know where we would get it here in the US. I just love the silicone and I wish I knew how or what to use here. But this thing is strong, so strong, but at the same time, it's a little flexible. I don't know how to explain it, but it's super, super strong. And I love this silicone. But one day I left it open, I left the lid off, and it didn't dry out completely, but it got so heavy, sort of like molasses. Is like so heavy, and it's really hard for me to apply it. It wasn't like that when I first got it. It's just I don't even know how long it was without a lid. Luckily, it didn't dry on me, but it did become super hard for me to apply it. Anyway, so the glue, I finally get the glue, and the good thing also about this glue, it's like a tacky glue at first, so you can move it around and position it where you need it to go. And if you need to take it off and put it back on, it works after really really good after that. And it doesn't like require overnight drying. It just requires like maybe 15-20 minute drying. I think that's what I like about it. Then once I'm done, I just put something heavy on it and come back after, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So I went to lunch and I came back and I checked that it was dry, that it was good, that I didn't glue it all wumpy, and it allowed me to open and close my book with no problem. My next step is to grab the same blade that I was using before and I cut inside of the window. So I use my window as a guide, that way I don't have to measure anymore. And in this case, since I already did my couple first layers on the exterior before the tutorial or before recording it, I'm going to do the outside too so I can make it a clean cut. By the way, my cover is it's a simple webbing that they sell during Halloween time where, you put it around your house to make it seem like it's a web, spider web. Then I use my black gesso to seal it down and glue it down. Then on top of that, I just painted it blue, and that's pretty much all I did. I'm going to eventually cover the window edge, the cut edge that it's visible, but that's going to be when I finish up the outside of the book. Now it's time to cover the inside of the book. I usually keep a stack of my daughter's artwork or art that she likes to paint on file folders, and I like a lot of them, and I keep the best ones that I think she has, and I use those on my covers. I don't know if I've mentioned that before on my other ones. Not everything's good, as you can see, but I really like this one in particular, especially because it has blue and red, which is in some of my signatures that you guys are going to see, but it wasn't the right height. Each file folder has, in a sense, two pages, and one's a little taller than the other. And the one that I wanted to use was the shorter version, or the shorter side. So I had to reach for another one that I had where she kind of did a little bit of work, but yeah, that day she didn't finish it. So I'm just gonna use it anyway. I don't like to throw away things. I like to recycle them. And I'm gonna stain it with coffee water, and I'm gonna dry it, dry it, dry it. What I've noticed is that the heat of the gun kind of cooks it in there. It makes it a little darker. I don't know if it's burning the coffee water or it's just in my head. But anywho, once I dry it on the third, I mean, not, I think it was the third or fourth coat of coffee water, I let it air dry just because I want those different kinds of stains. And when you air dry it with the gun, it kind of dissolves it into the paper, and I want to create watermarks. And once I come back to it, I make sure everything's dried, and I make sure I dry it on the side that I'm going to glue it, because it's a thick paper and it tends to retain moisture and water. Once I've made sure that the paper is dried from both sides, I gave it one last dry before I started my next step, which is to measure my book and measure my cover and make sure that I cut to have the same amount of edge showing all the way around. And how I glue it is I go around the edge of the paper with my glue. It takes me so long because this glue is so dry. And then I glue that first. I make sure I go all the way around, and I make sure I double check. I don't necessarily put anything in the middle, but I do put a lot of glue where my spine is, just so that I make sure it goes in the grooves of the hinges of the book, so that the front cover and the back cover can open and close without any problems. And once one half is done, I go to the next half and do the same thing. But in this case, I've noticed that this side of the cover has a tab on the top. So I want to use that. I want to use that, and so I don't put glue where the tab is, so I can eventually put something there. I mean, I'm not even sure I'm going to use it yet, but I want to have the option of putting something there, or maybe a bookmark or something. Then I put a book cover inside, and again, I put something heavy on top and let it dry. Come back, go wash the dishes, and come back. Once I'm back, I grab my trusty knife and I cut the cover. This step is easy because I use my window as a guide as to where I cut it. Gives me a clean cut. Sorry, I was interrupted for a little cuddle time. Okay, sorry ladies. So I'm back. Make sure you cut the edges really good, because this is paper. You don't want to tear it, and make sure you do a clean cut. And ta-da! Now we have a basic foundation for your book. Now it's time to make the measurements. This is like decision making time, where you decide where you want your straps to go. The straps are going to hold in your magazines. I mean, sorry, I keep on calling them magazines. Your signature. That's right, signatures. And what I decided to do is do 1 inch from my window for my first loop, and 1 inch from the top for my second loop. Then I decided to do a third loop in between both of the loops. So I just decided to divide the top and divide the space from the top and the bottom. And I marked it on the little trim that's on the window, on the little wood that you could still kind of see that we still haven't covered up. I marked my pencil markings on there so that I can transfer them to the inside cover, so I can do all my cuts and all my measurements to attach my straps down that are going to be the supports for the loops. And I bring the measurements in and to install the first part of the attachments, which is the knobs that attach the front of the straps to the front of the book. I decided that they would go right on the edge of that tap pocket that I think I might use, that's in the front of the book. And to make the hole, I use one of those bookbinders needles. I poke it with a sharp one that I have first, and then I have a little thicker one to make the hole bigger, and I use that one as well. Then I clean up the hole so that I can screw in the head. Otherwise, it would took me forever to do those other two. And I realized I have to first clean the hole so that the screw goes in very nicely, and allows me to tighten in the little knob that goes in the front and the outside. Don't forget to clean the outside as well. Once I've hand tightened it, I go back with the screwdriver and make sure they're attached very tightly. Then I grab my eraser and I erase off my pencil marks. Okay, so I didn't notice, but the camera wasn't recording. There's a step that is missing. On the straps, I folded one of the ends in about 1/4 inch, and then with my crocodile, I came in and I punched a hole right through both folds, so it allows me to put it through the little knob. And after very much long deliberation as to how I was going to attach the straps to the back, I have decided I was going to use banner eyelet rivets. These are usually used for banners when you want to hang them. This is the hanging little eyelets that they use. And it comes with the positive and the negative, of male and female. And it also comes with It's like a banger. That's what I call it. Or like a little hammer and a base. So the male of the base, I mean the hammer goes into the female of the base and as well as the rivets. So all you gotta do is hammer it in. And it also comes with the cutter. So the cutter cuts the banner material with the same base. All you gotta do is hammer it in and it cuts the circle, exact circle that you need for the rivet to go in. But I decided to use my drill instead of the puncher to make my holes. Now that I've kind of decided where I want the eyelid rivets to go, I go inside and I make markings of where I want them to go so they're evenly aligned with the little knobs in the front, and they're also aligned with each other. So I make my markings inside on the back cover. Then it's the moment of truth. I grab my drill and I make the holes. I go in and out of the hole so I can clean it as much as possible with the drill bit. I mean, it's paper and it's gonna rip and it's gonna flour, it's gonna make a mess no matter what. So I know that at the end I have to go back with my scissors or my knife and cut the little mountain that makes a round. It kind of flours when you do it with the drill, but it's much faster and it's just worth it. Notice I had to go back with the bigger drill bit and make bigger holes. It ripped the paper a little bit more than I expected, but the rivet rim will cover that up no problem, and you won't ever see that there was any damage to the paper at all. Then I just made sure I clean it up a little bit more. So after that, the next step is to tap in the eyelets. And like I said, it's really simple. You put the base with one of the parts on the bottom, and then you insert the other half of the eyelet along with the banger that I call it, and just pretty much bang it away. I cleaned it up a little bit more just because the cover is thicker than a vinyl banner would be, and so I just want to make sure I get a good grip, and I clean it as much as possible, and I just bang it. And I have to apologize because again the camera is in the desk, and so every time I bang it shakes it. But not only that, I noticed that um, little by little it moved the camera. So as you guys will see in a little bit, I'm pretty much doing things off camera, and I have to apologize for that. um, I will try to get better at this. Why I'm going to get better at this as time goes on, and most likely I will do another video on how to do it again, just because this was my first one and I don't think it was a great example. And it's fun to do them, so I don't mind doing a million of them if I have to. But once I do that, I check that everything fits and aligns perfectly, and they seem to look really good. So I move on to my next step. Now it's time to attach the leather strap to the back cover. I measure where I want or how long I want the strap to be, and then I cut the excess of the leather strap. What I'm going to do is fold the tip of it, and I'm going to mark where I want a hole or the little rivet to go through. And I'm going to do that for all the straps so that I can come back with my crocodile and cut a hole. I cut the smaller hole out, which is I think 1/16, so that the rivet can go in clearly, but I don't lose grip on it. So once I have them all measured, I fold the strap, and through the little hole I make a marking with my pen so I know where to come back and punch the hole through. And I just use the same needle that I had used before. um, I know you could probably not see it that good, but it makes it quite a good hole where I can put in the little tails of the rivet. Then I can go ahead and put in my straps in again and attach my rivets to the ends of the tips of the leather straps, and then attach it to the book. But I wanted to attach it only to the book itself, not to the other strap or the same strap that's around the back. So what I did is I go under the outside of the strap, so that it only kind of catches onto the cover itself, not the strap. I don't want it to attach to the strap. I like how the strap flows from the knob to the rivet hole, and I don't want to have anything in between. So when I attach the I don't even know what it's called, but I think it's like a little rivet tail. um, when I do that, I make sure I only grab the strap end and the book itself without grabbing the other one. And to do that, I make sure I tighten it really good. I use the same, I open it with my needle. I open the tail legs with my needle. And then I grab the little banger from the eyelets and I just bang it in there so it's a little bit precise of a bang rather than a big hammer to the back cover. And I do that for all three. Well, that concludes part one of a possibly three-part series. This part one covers the cover, but yeah, covers the cover of the junk journal. And the next part is about the signatures and how to make the loops and how to attach them to the book. And the third possible video would be on the decoration of the cover and how I cover the window trim. Well, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Facebook for more creative ideas. Thank you.